Welcome to Bonnie's Designs. This is a live stream from for YouTube.tv, also recorded for YouTube. So it's a live stream with live people. So I'll be answering questions or chatting, or watching chat. I just pressed record and I had a phone call. So I wanted to finish this Kerby rosanes. Just very carefully tease out the colours. Oh, I have a loose wire because I'm kind of so I'm quite pleased with the colours, and I'm trying to get a little bit more of a watercolour effect, and then I can possibly go back in. Sorry, I had a paintbrush in my mouth. And just kind of then put some detail and darks at the back, and then these light colours will pop out then. Oh, thank you, darling. Thank you for telling me that. Sometimes you don't know if it's Ustream or YouTube or it's the camera. And if we have rain, then that kind of affects it as well. So I'm going to pick on this little mushroom, this toadstool here. And I'm still playing in this palette that it's just reconstituted, but because it's professional watercolor, and yes, there were a few pounds, but these are going to last me for years. And you just wait for special offers and things. I'm just going to move the little drawer because I keep catching my hand on that, and that is annoying. And I also want a clean kitchen roll, because unlike my little book of watercolors, I tend to kind of if I just swivel the chair around a little bit, because I'm working very, very tight underneath here. So there should be a line down there, and there isn't, because I don't know what that is. So I'm going to leave it. I know that's red, and this is the wrong brush, really. I think I should have maybe gone in with that's a little bit too tall, that brush. I'll use that one a bit later. Just a damp brush, and then just swiddle back into that pink. And it's half alizarin crimson and half cadmium red, and that gave me I didn't want a pinky red for these, and I didn't want a reddy red, and I was very pleased. But again, I had a piece of kitchen roll, piece of photocopy paper, and when I made the colour, I had a bit of a play to make sure that it was definitely the red that I wanted, because although these are quite forgiving, you know, I'm being a little bit careful in this book. It's a nice book, beautiful images, and I wanted to do them justice. Sometimes I kind of pull pages out of the cheapy pound shop buys, and I'm not precious with them, but as a tight Yorkshire lass, £10 for a colouring book is I want to be a little bit precious with it. And although the pages are lovely quality, this is watercolour, so you've got to be a little bit on the ball. But I love just stroking the colour in there, and then once it's flat, doesn't matter, because I can go back in and give it a little bit of definition if I want later. So all I'm trying to do is to just give this final semblance of order. So all the rabbits have got a coating of brown, all the toadstools have got a tiny pale shade, and all the toadstools are kind of got a bit of definition as well. And then I can go in and do the background, and then I will kind of maybe go in and maybe put some little bits of shadow and a bit of a play. But I could leave it as it is, you know, I could leave it as a flat colour if I wanted. And that's what I quite like about this way of working. If I'm in the garden, it's a beautiful day, I will just sit and I'll just kind of get carried away. And I've got 3 paintbrushes. I've got this is the number 1, so it's a bit thinner. I've got the number 3 rigger, which is going to hold a lot of water, so you've got to be a little bit careful, because this, you just want to stroke. If I push down, I would completely saturate. So I'm stroking the colour, and it's slowly being released at the end. The more I push down and manipulate those hairs on the brush hairs, the more colour will come out. So I don't really want that. I just want that little bit. And I want a natural highlight on there, so I can do 2 things. That's quite flat, that colour. So what I'm going to do is go back in with, this is the number 3, and I have a damp brush. It's about the same actually, so it didn't make much difference. I was going to try and do it a little bit paler, but it's a bit paler. But then I can go back up, because, and again, the way of working is dry. I love this way of working. I'd say especially if you're at the hospital, because you can just shut the book when they call your name, and you're not going to do any particular damage. So you can play about with the shading. I just find this just kind of a really nice way. So it's just got a basic colour on it. And then I'm going to turn this upside down, because I'm going to work backwards, I think, with this one. This is quite a large, and I really don't want to fold these pages in half, if I can possibly help it. I want to make everybody sick. So I'll do that one. So for this one, I'm going back in with this large brush that I had. And I'm trying to think that that would be on the top. So this would be underneath. This would be like a little crease. And then that would be the crease up to there. Oops, sorry, I caught the thing. So I'm really enjoying these larger images. And again, I thought I would struggle with a large area with watercolor, because obviously the more water you're going to put on, the more you're going to damage your page. But as long as you keep it fairly dry and just manipulate these fab pigmented watercolors, then you can just about get away with some nice effects and not saturate the page so it's going to crinkle. Hope that makes sense. I'm trying desperately not to get my hand in the way, but I'm probably about 4 inches from the top of the camera. And again, it's just quite nice to stroke this colour in. This is a little bit bigger brush, and there's some nice colour in there, but it's not saturated, it's just damp. And as I say, I really like sitting just doing this. We had some nice weather in England a couple of days ago, but it's kind of a turn for the worse yesterday. My daughter's gone to uni. I'm very tempted to take over her bedroom, but I don't want her to think that she can never come home. Having said that, I don't think they often do come home once they've gone, do they? But so is everybody okay with that? So thanks for joining us. As I say, this is a live stream for ustream.tv. This is Bunny's Designs, and I'm just finishing off this nice kerby rosanes. I think this one's imagimorphia, this one. But I'm really enjoying the fact that I can use I've just got a paintbrush over there that I can use some watercolors. And so if I just put the tiniest amount at the bottom, really tiniest amount, tiniest amount, I've got basically a damp brush, and that can give me a really nice, I mean, these are really pale colours, but sometimes it's quite nice to work with pale colours, because colour books have got kind of a little bit bright, and I do like bright colours, but sometimes, and because it's watercolour, it's kind of lending itself quite nicely to be manipulated. But there's no reason why you just can't stroke across, just taking a smidgen of colour off there, because this is watercolour, it's not like acrylics. If I reconstitute, if I put water back onto here, it will go back into watercolours. It's not set. The Inktense pencils are quite nice for that, because once you've done them, they're fixed, but these won't be. So if I wanted to steal the tiniest amount of colour, I can do, but I'm quite happy just to kind of touch a little bit here, just the tiniest bit. And that's giving me some really nice pale highlights. Oh, it's a she. I must have touched it twice. So you can feel when the brush is getting dry. So again, another dunk, and then twist off a lot of it so it's still only damp. And then just a little touch will give me a little bit more. I mean, you can do it all in flat colour if you want. I really like this way of giving a little bit more dimension to things. I haven't decided on a background. I think backgrounds are scarier. I'm always scared of backgrounds. But I've got a really nice angle there as well, so I'm not putting any pressure, because I couldn't do this for a long time if I had a lot of pressure on my hands. I have to say I couldn't do that, so I'm going to very carefully twizzle that round, not making anybody sick. And I'm just going to finish that natural curve on there. And I would have liked that a little bit paler, but it's okay. It's not a masterpiece. I'm just colouring in and enjoying myself. But you get used to some quite nice techniques, and you think, oh, I like that, and that worked. And then you think, well, didn't like that. So I can go back in there with the number 30 rigger, and I can kind of, that's actually a wet brush, and then twist off as much colour as I can, and then kind of maybe just give that a little bit more definition down there. Just to make sure that everything's... No, I didn't like that brush. I have to go back to that one. So you can manipulate that with a drop of water. Not too much, because it's, you know, this is not, but it's damp and that's dry now, so that's lovely. And it's very zoomed in, but it's just giving it that little bit more definition. Now we've got this huge mushroom here. So I'm going to go back in with this. This is a number 2 rigger, but it's a different sort. It's called an Art Master Pearl Series 55. And that is a big, you know, it's a big difference. That is a big chunky brush. There's a lot of water on there now. So I've got to be a bit careful. Twist it as much as I can out of there. And again, that's you can learn how to do that as you go along. You know, you start. I'm just going to have a bit of a play because I've got quite a bit of water on there, so I just want to see how it's going to go. Oh, it's not too bad. As long as I don't put too much pressure down, I'm not going to put too much pressure and release too much water. It's a little wetter than I'd like it, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Just be a bit careful with that. Oh, that's helped that a little bit. It's a little bit wishy-washy is this colour, but it's a huge mushroom, it's a huge toadstool, so it might look okay. And again, the other thing is, this is like traditional watercolouring, as in colours. Always start pale and add to. Always work light to dark, because you can always add to it. What you can't do, well, you can always add white gouache, but it looks horrid, is work dark to light. So again, although it looks a little bit insipid and a little bit like, well, that's not that vivid red. If this was in the sunlight, then it probably wouldn't be as bright as the little toadstools that are hidden under the grass. So sometimes it's nice to think a little bit more reality. And at this size, there's more dimples in it, and there's more lumps and bumps in it. It's not going to be that beautiful flat mushroom. And going over slightly other places, what's this doing is lending itself to, I'm going to go over there because I want this to be pale. So what's happening now is more and more water is making this colour getting paler and paler and paler, which is giving me a naturally highlight at this side. Well, I hope it is. Everybody see that? Or is that? Oh, have you got some nice sun as well? We like a bit of sun. We like a bit of sun. Again, there's a fair amount of water on there, I have to say. So I'm going to start at this side here. And it's not too far away from what the other one was. And if I go to that ridge, it's going to give me some nice definition. And although I'm kind of getting quite a lot of texture in this and highlights, I'm not doing a lot of work. I'm not having to work in it with 6 different colours. I'm using the colour on the end of the paintbrush and just teasing it about. And that's another thing that you can learn to do. But it's still quite dry, because any water, any more than that, and it'll buckle the pages, and I don't really want to. Because I've played over there, when I go over this side, it's a bit of a bad angle actually, I have to say. That's made that just slightly paler, I think. Sorry, I think the washing machine is going. Oh dear, life goes on. I think I'm going upstairs into my daughter's room because I can kind of shut myself off, and I think that might be an option for me, I think, because it gets quite noisy down here. It's feeding time at the zoo. Now that is probably a little bit pale, but as I say, you can go in a bit later, and I just basically want to get some kind of colour on here. And I did think I would struggle, because it's a big expanse when it's watercolour, and you think really you should have a lot of colour, a lot of water under here. And so it's quite nice that I've managed to kind of fill that shape. And have all the little toadstools underneath. So does that look okay? It does look very pale actually, doesn't it? But I quite like that. I think that big mushroom there probably could be pale. And underneath are all the little tiny deep coloured red ones. we've got, oops, 4 more mushrooms, I think. Want this one a little bit darker, I think, because again, it's in the way, it's not hidden. So that's going in that little bit darker. Oops, sorry, I caught the camera. I have to say it's quite mesmerising sometimes. Managed to get quite nice amount, and it's still the same colour, so I think I'm going to enjoy doing this gun pale as well. Pretty sure. I'm going to just add a touch of water, and then, although I've kind of made that really wet, when there's a lot of water on there, so I'm really wringing out that paintbrush, because, and sometimes at the corners it's best as well to do it. There is still quite a lot on there, and I don't want to crinkle the page. If you're not bothered, then it's fine, but I really don't want to crinkle the page. Oops, got poltergeist. So if I just kind of, and again, it's quite nice because you can do the fast stroking the colour across, and then you can go back with the detail, so that's quite nice as well. So if you were somewhere and you had to do most of the colours, then you could go back and play. But I tend not to want to go back and play. I tend to just see something and want to colour it as it is, and then leave it kind of sometimes. And the other thing is, if the colour's gone, it's gone. Now most of the time these colours won't be. Now I'm not sure I'm going to leave this salmony colour really, but it depends what I decide to do with the background. But I'm really impressed with the fact I can do a large expanse, because that was something that was kind of worrying me. But again, that's because it's a rigger. The only reason it's working is that all that colour here is coming out very dry, and that lends itself to oops, sorry, I thought I'd put a thing on this, so I couldn't do that. Just bear with me 2 seconds. I just put that there to steady it. No, I think, again, you see I could go through there and put some little shadows in there as well. So and then there's one more. I think we've done them all then. So I'll just do this one, and then I can probably mix a little bit more of the colour. So this one goes into here, and there's little fronds or whatever they're called, so they want to be thought about. Got to be a little bit careful, because this is again a little bit wet. It's actually sitting on top. Don't really like that, but I think it might just be okay. And then I can go back in and see if I can save some of these little white circles. So thanks for joining me. As I say, this is hopefully the last in the series of this, I think it's part 4 of this colour page. Because these pages have a lot going on, they're not an afternoon's kind of colouring in. There are a couple of sessions, I think, and that's quite nice. I think these new colour books are now, people don't just want to kind of colour something in a flat colour, they want a little bit of creativeness and to kind of play with colour, play with texture and shape. And the new colour books, I think, are doing that. I'm going to try and put some of my old artwork on the website so that people can just kind of photocopy them and download them and just photocopy them and just play with colour. Because I think that can be quite fun, and because it's on photocopy paper, it's not precious, and there's something about that preciousness that, you know, you can, oh, I'm not going to put that colour there because it might not go and it might not do this. Whereas if it's a photocopy, you can play, and while you're playing, you are learning something. And you might think, well, I didn't really like that green there, and that I like that blue, but that green's a bit ugh. But that green might look nice somewhere else. And because you're not precious with the photocopy paper, you can be very creative, and you can kind of go for it. Whereas I think because it's an expensive, precious book, I think it can kind of hold you back a little bit. So I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see just how different those are. So I hope I don't make everybody sick. Bear with me 2 seconds and just lift that up. But what that's enabled me to do is I just see if I can get rid of. I've done something to this now. I always do something to it. It's jumping, and I don't know why it's jumping. Get rid of that. That might work. Oops. Take that off there. Sorry, there might be some barking in a second. So you can see all that page. So although that's really, really pale, I can go in there with some kind of quite nice detail, I think. And I might do that. I think this book lends itself to that. Oops. Does everybody else think that as well? Does everybody else think that, yeah, you can play? And again, once I've gone in there with some really nice dark, deep greens, the kind of the bunnies will jump out, or the hares, they'll jump out. And but I do quite like these paler ones on top. Quite enjoying having a bit of a play. Haven't played for a long time like that. So the greens that I was making, I was playing again with the colours, and what I've done is I've ended up with 4 distinctly different greens. I've used the 2 colours next to each other, which gives on the colour wheel the vibrant colours. So that's the cool blue and the cool yellow. And then I used the 2 colours that are furthest apart, the purpley blue and the warm yellow, to make a green. And then I kind of mixed them round again. So we had a cold yellow and a warm purple and a warm purple, a warm yellow and a cold blue. So that gave me some really distinct differences, and I quite like that as well. So that meant I could have some very pale colours and some very dark colours and purpley blues and greeny greens and lemony greens. So I really enjoyed playing with the greens as well, I have to say. So these colour books they're just teaching you about texture, but also about different colours. And again, all we have to do, because this is professional watercolour, is just a spray probably would do, but and what I was doing then is adding the opposite colours. So I've got like 6 greens, all matching this first one, and that again gives a little bit of continuity. So I wonder if I could just zoom down a little bit. And then I'd say I put a little bit of shadow on the rabbits, on the hares, or just to give that, again, a little bit more, just to give that a little bit more. Just see if we can. That gives a little bit more definition. So again, oops, it's jumping everywhere. I don't know why. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream for Ustream.tv, and it's also been recorded for YouTube, so that we can be watched and rewound and watched again if we've missed anything. So hopefully people are getting some hints and tips about being artistic and creative. Not that I'm very artistic and creative, but I do like to play. I have to say, I'm enjoying self-playing. Again, I shouldn't really use the back of this one, but it's just to test where I've used this green before and where I want to use it again. Because the thing about this book and the Animorphia is you think you've done something and you turn round and then you find something else. I don't know if anybody else has found that. This is and I've obviously missed the underneath of that toadstool. So every time you go somewhere, you've missed something or other. That it's that kind of book. It's that kind of design. I'm going to steal that. But these colours just kind of go on and on and on forever, so they are really nice. Just got to be careful you don't have any little bits. And as I said, I'm really enjoying this way of working. I've got several different colouring books on the go, and they're all lending themselves to doing different ways. And that's making it not kind of boring. And again, I quite like that as well. I might want to do, let me just have a look. I quite like this green. Now, if you really wanted to be precise, which I was going to do in a couple of them, is put, there's a kind of, in watercolour, used to be frowned on, but it's not anymore. You can use masking fluid, and so if you have an intricate design, but you want to wash on the background, and you're frightened of going over, what you can do is, I've put it in a little tube like this. This is in its pink. We never used to have pink. You get pink and blue. It's quite liquidy, but I must have lost the pin out of there. Never mind, I've lost the pin out. So what you can do, and I don't really want any now, is probably this might be a better one. I bought a couple of these as well that they've got glue in, and so they've got a really fine point. So you can draw over your fine little flowers or petals or anything you want to leave with this, and then go make a coffee and let it dry. And then you can do a very careful wash over the top, or colour in, and you know you're not going to go over that. And then that allows you to do the light colour over. Sorry, that's the light colour over. So that means you don't have to, if you're a bit clumsy like me, it means it's quite nice to way of working. So you could just kind of go over there very gently, and all the intricate stems wouldn't be filled in green. So I could go in with a paler colour, because obviously most of the stems, not always, but most of the time, they are a paler colour. And that gives you another string to your bow then. You can know that you can mask out some very fine detailed areas and get a nice flat background if that's what you want. That's my back door. creaking. Sorry about that, it's feeding time at the zoo. I'm pretty confident I'm going to go upstairs, I think, and take over the bedroom, and then I can get the dining room back because we missed the dining room. I do miss having the table and chairs. I'm getting a bit carried away in there, but again, it's quite nice in there. And I like that, but I want that different colour, I think. This is like the little fly trap snapdragon thingy. So I might do that a completely different colour, I haven't decided. I just found a toadstool that I missed. There's so much going on here. But again, that's quite nice. That's quite nice. Peering over my glasses, but never mind. Sorry, the little puppy's being a pest. I think I might do that a pale colour actually, because again, I've got all these lovely greens here. That's quite a nice, very pale green. And these, there is a lot of colour here. Oops, sorry, I keep knocking the camera. But I think that's going to lend itself to a nice little shrub there. And the delightful little boy's back, bless him, pushing his way through, as he does. My daughter calls it Alfie's world. It's not our world, it's Alfie's world. Everything evolves around the boy. So, as I say, I'm quite enjoying this, and there's a fair bit of colour on there, and a bit of water, but because it's a small area, now that is kind of wet, but I can touch it and can't do too much of that, otherwise it'll crinkle, but quite like that. And I'm going to just sneak that one in as well there, because I think that will lend itself to that. And then I'm going to make a really dark, deep greens, I think, for the undergrowth, because I think that's the fern colours are quite nice. But just after the few of these colours, there's hundreds of greens. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be that pale, really. It shouldn't be, but again, you see, because this is watercolour, I can go over it if I want. I can go over that if I want to. And I like that idea. It's light to dark. If I've made a mistake, I can go darker. And that's another thing that you can learn to kind of. That's a little bit too wet. I don't really want to be that wet, really. Even though I know that this brush could take that. So I've got a dry brush, but it's the bigger rigger, number 3. But it's drier. And that's a lot drier. That's nice. I'm just a bit nattered about that. I don't want to wet the page, really. And I tend to put my arm on things and smudge things, so there's another reason for that as well. So I think I might use that one over there, actually. That was quite nice. So I hope everybody's okay. I hope I'm in frame. So, but if I do that, I'm going to do this one here, because that's one of those curly ferns. I've got to make a bit more red, and there's a stem of a mushroom that I've missed there. There's a stem of the big mushroom that I've missed there. Just go over there a little bit, quite like this, quite like that. Sorry, I've just knocked the camera. So I think by picking some of the green things, it's going to kind of bring it a bit more alive, and then get some more depth. And that's the bottom of that stem, so I haven't put that in. So I've still got some olive. So again, it's a good job I've got some of the olive left, so that I can go back in there with these stems. And it's a case of just mixing up these leaves and shrub areas, I think, because they're kind of lending themselves to. Sorry, just poddling around, isn't he, bless him? I don't know what that is. I think that's the bunny tail. Again, you see, sometimes you miss lots of things. That's the tail. That's his tail. I've missed his tail off. So, oops, I nearly made a green tail then. But it's still quite nice just picking these off and finding other things that are going on. They're kind of, there's a lot going on in these shrubs, but that green's kind of brought that a little bit more alive now. And we can stroke some of those in there. And that log will kind of then, there's a fallen down tree. I think that will then kind of going to have to colour this in, I think, this one. So, but there's no reason why I can't do a little bit of shadow, a little bit of shadow in the ones behind, so that it gives it that little bit more definition. Seem to keep doing something with this. I don't know why it keeps jumping, but it does. So sorry about that. I've just knocked it. Have them in frame. So I've got a little bun there, so I'm going to do these under here because this looks quite nice and green. Again, I've just found another toadstool, so probably you have to concentrate a bit more, a bit better than me, because I keep missing all these toadstools. But this again is still a dry brush, but there's a lot of pigment, and I'm just kind of carefully stroking the colour. I might just give that little bit of pale and bring that down here. Oh, and then we have a combine harvester going past. I think that might be nice to make that into a very pale shade all the way down there, then I think, as a natural progression. I might do that. There's a little bunny. I don't know what the little bunny's doing under the... It's a bit brave if he's under all those running rabbits, but there's a little brave bunny there. And I think that's his foot. Oops. Yes, I quite enjoyed doing that. I think that's quite... It's just brought that little bit there. And I'm not sure I'm leaving it, because rather than do it and then think, oh, that's the wrong thing, I'm kind of trying to leave that. The paint's getting in the way now. And I've put that into the water. Getting in a pickle now. And that looks like I've made a mistake on there, look. Never mind. Oh, and there's a bunny paw there, so let me see if I can do the bunny paw. I'd left the rabbit paw there, look. It is quite nice paper to work on as well. It is quite nice paper. Oh, hi Marilyn, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm just finishing off the imagimorphia hairs that I was doing in with all the toadstools. So I keep picking things off, and then I keep realising that I've left things missing and left things out. So it's definitely, it's getting there, shall we say, but as I say, there's lots of things still happening. I think I quite like some dark in there, pretty sure. I'll leave that pale. And I'm not quite sure what that is. I think that's a little creature, that. There's so many creatures hiding that if you're not careful. So I want that. There's another stem I've missed. There's all sorts of things that I keep missing. It's quite nice paper, I have to say. It is right. It is nice paper. I'm going to wash those brushes out now because I want to do a little bit of detail. And there's another toadstool there, so I'm going to be careful with this because it's what I call a proper thing. So I just go in there with water and water. So I want kind of a bit of a poke in there with the cadmium red. And because of these are very pigmented, I have to wash the brush out, which is breaking my heart, but never mind. And then have a bit of a dib in there to get some Elysium Crimson. And what I did is made a 50-50 mix. So it wasn't too pink and it wasn't too cold. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, thank you. It's fine. I'm just waffling along. I hope everybody's finding this interesting. This is a live stream for you, ustream.tv, Bunny's Designs, and also being recorded for YouTube. Just bear with me 2 seconds. I'll have a quick slurp. Oh gosh. So I found another toadstool. I think I've missed about 3 in all. So under here we have another toadstool. When you first mix your colour, you're going to have quite a lot on that paintbrush. So you've got to be a little bit careful. But that was quite a good guess. It's not far out. And it wouldn't matter if it was anyway, because we need a little bit of variation. So quite like that. I think that's the top of the toadstool. As again, sometimes you have to look about 3 or 4 times. So now there is a nice toadstool. This one I'm going to make a smidgen dark, I've decided. This brush is a little bit too big for... so if I touch on the pure colour here, and then have a bit of a div in there, I've got quite a nice... That's quite watered down, and this is quite strong colour. Again, twisting as much as I can of that colour out of there. And so that mushroom is directly behind it. And so I just want to kind of make that a little bit darker. And I'm going to make that one a little bit darker as well. And so that's lightened that one up just a little bit more. And what else do I need? I'm sure I'd missed a couple more. Oh yes, there's a toadstool here, look. I'm just going to move that because I'm going to spill that. As I say, anything to spill, knock over. That's me. Oops, sorry about that. As I say, just a couple of inches away from there. So where did I have that? I found another couple of toadstools somewhere. There, here's another one that I've missed. So that can be quite a nice dark one as well, because it's in the background. And that should make this one pop out in front of it, because it's paler. Now, so I quite like that one now there. As I say, there's so many little things going on here. I'm sure I've missed another large toadstool. You definitely have to be in your own little world when you're colouring in something like this. I'm going to just kind of colour that in as well. In frame, I think I am. And that'll go behind the bun. Originally I was going to do a light highlight on there, but I think I've changed my mind. I think I'll just give that. I can always go back in and do other things with it if I want. I just kind of like that. And that was the mistake with the tail, because I painted that red and it wasn't, it was the tail. So I've managed, because it was brown, I've put it underneath and it just looks like a dark brown. It looks like a shadow of the tail, but actually I painted it bright red to start with, so I managed to get away with that. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. As I say, I'm just trying to finish off this kerby rosanes. I think it's imagimorphia, and it's the rabbits, it's the hares running, and the many toadstools, lots and lots of toadstools, and just trying to pick out a few and make them, give them a little bit of definition now, because there'll be lots of shadows now with all these rabbits running running around, and it's quite nice to give them a little bit of difference. I'm pretty sure there's another one somewhere. I think I missed about 3 toadstools out. But I've mixed the colour so I can go back to it any time I want. And again, that's quite nice. So I do like some of these really pale yellows that I've got. Oops. The really pale greens and then the really deep greens. And that's quite nice mixing your own as well. So I think there's some pale going on here. So I shall get rid of the red because I don't think I need that. I might just give that a low light, a bit of a shadow. That one there. And it's in the crease of the book, so it's just thought I might just pop that under there and show. If I don't like it, I can go over the others. I can't make it lighter, but I can make it darker. And maybe some rich deep purples would look nice. But if you add green to the red, it'll give a nice deep shadow. So I think I quite like that one. Have a bit of a play now with shadows. And I like the idea that I'm not having to pick up another pen or pick up another pencil. I'm just playing with the same colour, but it's just that little bit more concentrated. And I think this one lends itself to a little bit of shadow as well on there. So thanks for dropping in and joining us on this live stream. Probably the final part of this page. They're nice to do, but they're not. You can't rush them. You have to kind of go with the flow. It's they're nice to do, but they're definitely not a throw your paints down kind of image. There's a lot going on, and it's nice to just sit and pick off certain things and have other things highlighted. So once all these dark shadows are down, and this is in the centre of the book, so I'm actually colouring the white cord as well. and I could put a shadow under there for where the paws are, and put a shadow there. There's all sorts of things you can do to give it just that little bit extra. Haven't probably got to that stage yet, I don't think, but you see, by just dropping that little bit there, there's a bit of a shadow there on that one. I've missed that, which I think is a bit of mushroom. And I think I'd missed a tail somewhere as well. I'm sure somebody missed a tail. Somebody's tail isn't coloured in. One of the bunnies. And I like the idea that the little tiny ones are very, very, very bright and vivid, and then the bigger ones are kind of really pale. So I've got the stems of the bulrushes to do as well. I'm going to darken the bulrushes because they're too much. They're going to clash with the bunnies. So I could do that. I could make a bit of a brownie colour. Shouldn't really be mixing with these, really. Oh, hi everybody, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Hi Cass1415, welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream for Ustream and being recorded for YouTube to watch at leisure. And I'm finishing off my page with professional watercolours. I decided that if I got them on offer, they'd be quite nice. So I've been playing with these professional Windsor and Newton watercolours, and I've just had a little digibit out, and they go a long way. So when we did the colour wheel, I used the cadmium yellow, lemon yellow, French ultramarine, cerulean blue, alizarin crimson, and cadmium red. And those are the 6 colours from which the planet of colours comes from. Oops, there aren't any colours you can't make with those. So I was quite tempted to use those. And I originally played with the Windsor and Newton little pans, and I started mixing my own colours on this page, and I really enjoyed myself. And I thought these imagimorphia kerby rosanes books are going to be watercolours. So I've got some professional watercolours, but I'm working again really dry for me, getting some quite nice watercolour effects, but really dry, and that means your pages don't buckle. And I'm a bit of a fuddy-duddy, I have to say. I do like the pages not to buckle. And I've just done something. I don't know what I've done. I've got something on here. I think I've got some kind of thing on there, and I don't know why. So I hope that's in frame and focused. Can everybody see that? Oh, hi Effie and Marielle, Marilyn, and everybody else. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. As I say, we're just finishing off this Kerby Rosanne page with professional watercolours, but using them very dry and flat. And it's lending itself to some really nice, completely different way of working. I just put that up to there. You can see that when the colours kind of when the colours mix together, it looks quite nice. I don't know why it's jumping. It's jumping now. So just probably 2 seconds. Technology is wonderful, isn't it? When it works. So I've got some really pale reds. It's the same red. It's half cadmium red, or a dollop of cadmium red and a dollop of alizarin crimson, and it's given me a nice colour in between. So all I'm doing is adding water, and that's kind of giving me these muted shades. I'm probably going to darken them up a bit, but I wanted it with watercolors to start light. So you start light and then kind of work dark, but it's exactly the same red. It's a really rich red, but these professional watercolors, the pigments are fab, so it does kind of lend itself to some really nice colors. And the palettes, as I say, I've got a little squidge of everything out because I'm a tight Yorkshire lass, and I'm still working out of this palette from the other day. So all these greens, I'm going to darken them up, and then I'm going to use them for the deep backgrounds so that the rabbits will kind of stand up a little bit then. So there's not much to do, but these books and these pages tend to lend themselves to a fair amount of detail. I'll just drop that on the floor. Let's see if I can pick that up. So I quite enjoy myself picking these off, and there's the fronds to do. So what I could do, and I don't have a lot of space in there, and it's a bit of a mucky palette, but it'll be fine. I shouldn't really be mixing with a rigger either, but never mind. That's full of colour, is that, at the moment? I'm just trying to think if I need to do anything instantly. I kept finding more mushrooms, but I think I've found them all now. There's some stems that I've missed. This is quite a nice shaded one here. This probably could just do with darkening as it curls round. And there's always some quite nice pen work, so you know roughly where things go naturally without having to kind of guess. And again, I quite like that. So, I mean, you could go in here and play for hours and really pick out those toadstools and shades, and just maybe a little bit behind there. It's just that I have a lot of paint on this paintbrush, and I'm a bit of a tight Yorkshire lass. I don't want to just kind of wash it away. But that's given that just that little bit. And this one probably could have a little bit more. A little bit richer colour at the bottom, maybe. Oh, thank you, Kay. Thank you, darling. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. Have I missed anybody off? This is a live stream for Ustream, and also recorded for YouTube, which is quite nice because people can catch up and watch it at leisure when they have time. Hi, Army Mum, Kingor, and anybody else I've missed, K87. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is probably going to be the last bit. What I'm trying to do is to pick out some deeper greens and put a little bit of detail in, and then I want some really dark kind of undergrowth, so the rabbits are gonna pop out a little bit. But I really enjoyed playing with these 6 professional watercolors, and as I say, I started out color mixing a few weeks ago with printer inks because they were £3.50. So I played with the printer inks, made about 600. Oh, hi Terry, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Almost 600 colours, playing about in a little book, which I don't think I can get my hands on at the moment. But there is a YouTube video. It was all about playing with the greens and mixing, and then adding complementary colours and tertiary colours, and it was all about getting every single colour combination we could out of that. And so I started with the printer inks because I said they were £3.50, and then I made some colours which I still have in my little book here, in my little watercolour palette here, and the Cotman, which were 99p. So I've made these colours, and there's a lot of colour here for me to play with. They were all made from 3 colours. So I got some really nice oranges. The ultramarine is really hard to make, so that's why I've gone back to 6 colours. But I did get some nice greens, but all these colours are made from 6. And of course I can mix them and do whatever I want with them. So they were the Cotman ones. And then of course decided, oh God, for the professional watercolours. And I think, oh sorry, puppy alert. I think I went to the, what did we call it? Hobbycraft in the UK. And these were 99p. These are De La Rowney, the professional ones. Really big pigmented. Oh, High Patch Crochet and Vicky S. Hope I haven't missed anybody off. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. Just having a bit of a natter about how I'm really enjoying watercolours, professional watercolours, which are so vibrant. And these were 99p. And of course, a bit of a trip. I mean, trip to London for our last day together as a family before the girls all went to uni and college, and so they pushed me around in my little walker. I don't think you're supposed to be allowed to be pushed around a walker, but my wheelchair hasn't arrived, so I can probably walk 2 steps and then I have to sit down, so that was quite fun. But I managed to get to Cornelius's and Cass Art in London. So Cornelius is, oh, fab for ink, pens and everything you can imagine. Talked myself out of mixing my own paints. I was going to do the pigments, but I've got asthma, and you've got to grind some of them, and you've got to really grind them. Hi Heather, show your puppy. Oh, you mean the naughty boy? Where is he? Alfie! Alfie! What's this? Alfie! See, he's going to be naughty now. Come here. Oh, he's been a good boy. Hello. I don't know if we'll be able to see the naughty boy. See if we can see the naughty boy. Can we see the naughty boy? Oops, one lamp's going one way. Oh, the other boy's come up. There he is. There's the naughty boy. Oopsie. Alfie. Terror, aren't you? You're Terror. Yes. Are you going to say hi? Are you going to say hi? This is Trouble. This is Trouble. We call him Tribble from the Star Trek Tribbles because he's just a lot of trouble, aren't you? But he's spoiled. And I'm wrapped up with Granny's, well, it's my daughter's little box. I just like my Granny, little blanket round. Yes, you can't paint. No, can't paint. Yes, that's Trouble. Yes, there's the song, isn't it? Cilla Black. What's it all about? Alfie from the 60s. A little bit before my time, but I remember the film. Oh, the big girls come. You're. Oh, hi! Look at this. We are honoured. Gigi. And just, if I really carefully, I'm going to clip the camera now without making you see. Gigi. Hello. This is the lurcher. Hello. This is the rescued lurcher. Of course, the puppy's underneath. It's a madhouse. And I don't know where the little boy is. We are honoured, aren't we? So there's a tiny space. It's got 3 dogs behind it. It's a madhouse. Now, can my little peg hold that back up there now? So I've got my little camera clipped to there. Yes, they're potty, aren't they? Bless them. But somebody has to rescue them. I'm going to leave that off actually, because I think that's one that jumps. Yes, I'm really enjoying these watercolor. And as I said, there is a little bit. I have nipped very carefully as the type Yorkshire lass. I have nipped a smidging out of there. And with those 6 colours, I've left to make the orange, the purples, and the greens, and the orange at the other side as well. So that's my, and of course can't wash this out. Lots and lots of colour left in here. But really enjoying this, and of course this is flat as anything. But I love the colours. I love the combinations that I probably wouldn't get from my little book. I haven't got autofocus on, have I? Emma says she had a Cavalier. Yes. He's a terror. He calls, my daughter calls it Alfie's World. It's a madhouse though, so there's one normally under my foot, and there's one at the other side, and then the lurcher, bless her, she's been very badly beaten, but she loves people. I don't know why, because she's been really badly treated. So, got a bit of a curl on there, just a bit of a curl, but it's not wet. It's very, very flat. But I have to say, I'm quite enjoying playing with these. Really are. So I'm going to go back and make some deep greens, I think. Oh, look, I did find a mushroom. I knew I'd found some. So, but I'm going to pop the camera onto there. Very carefully. Yeah, he's been really good. Now he's sitting there chewing his dog bed to bits. I just put that here a little bit. Just see if I can focus up. So sometimes it's difficult when they all bark at once. So I did find another toadstool there, look. So this book is, it's fascinating, but it's very easy to miss things off. So I don't think that's very strong, so I'm just going to give that. Oh, excuse me. Now that's quite dark. I don't think I like that. Having said that, it is under there, so if I just colour it, it's in there now, because otherwise I've lost it 3 times. There's so many going on. Oh, thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. As I say, I want to kind of finish off a little bit, so I'm going to go back into here with this. I've made like a pea green. I would call that like a pea green or a leaf green, and again, because it's professional watercolor, just a bit of a damp brush back in there. Still got to work quite damp though, because as I say, this is a page. This isn't watercolor page, and as much as it's lovely, it's not as thick as the Colin Thompson one, so you've got to be a little bit careful, but just stroking a little bit. Now this is damper than I normally work, but it's teasing the colour in, and because of the lights it will probably dry, but you know, that is a little bit damp, whereas normally when I do that there's nothing at all moves. This will move, remember, because it's professional watercolours. I'm going to do that quite dark behind there, I think, and then I'm going to do another pale one here. Quite like this pale colour. It's kind of giving it a little bit more of dimension, and I'm hoping when I put some really dark shadows behind, I'm hoping that the rabbits, the bunnies, are going to really pop out. That's what I intend, hopefully. And that doesn't work with that leaf, so I'm going to change that slightly, because obviously that leaf wants it to be the same colour. So I need to kind of do a little bit of jiggery pokery in there, shall we say. Oh, hi Kim, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Thanks for popping in, everyone. As I say, I wanted to finish this off and then um, quite want to start other things. But what I'm going to do is every Tuesday at the beginning of the show, because that's my set time without stepping on everybody else's toes, I'm going to start on Tuesday to celebrate having 100 peeps, which is amazing that 100 people want to be with me. What I'm going to do is, just don't make everybody sick, I'm going to make a new one of these. And so if anybody's got any particular stash of water-based pen, pencil, crayon, let me know and I'll see if I can get it in the book and do a page in the book. So we've got Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s. Probably going to label them properly. There's a Prismalo as well. Hardly don't use them very often, but sometimes it's handy to know that you've got obscure ones. Graphitint, Derwent Graphitint. The 72, gorgeous rich colours. Inktense, but you have a lot of control. You can have from the deepest colours to the palest colour. And I think it was the peacock blue. I think it was this, yes, Lagoon. And you can use that with the pencil, very, very dark, that colour. Or when I did the Kerby Rosanes book, I was on the train, and because I was using my little brush, that's the same colour. So you can really get some good shades. I mean, all these are Inktense, but you wouldn't think so because they're very pale. And that's why I like working that way, because you've got a lot of control over your pencil and your pigment. And the Derwent Inktense and the Derwent pencils, the pigment is fab. It is really lovely to work with, and it's a lot easier. I mean, I do love colour mixing, but I have to say this is probably still my favourite, but I am enjoying colour mixing. So that's what I'm going to do. So if anybody's got any things that they want to know how to put in the book, let me know, and then we're going to make a book. Because I was a little bit upset thinking, oh, everybody has these wonderful things and I wanted to do a giveaway, and I was thinking, but I can't buy anything because I can't really afford anything. And I was thinking, oh, how awful, I've got all these people and I can't do anything spectacular. And then I thought, I can make a book. So the giveaway will be a unique book that there's only 2 in the world at the moment. So that's hopefully my idea. I thought that might be good. So I'm going to Derwent. I've got to email them. I'm going to Derwent in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to give them this thing and say, for goodness sake, start producing either little books or the strips with the colour, because they have the technology to put the strips directly onto paper. And then they will be thin as well. And then they can come up with a book as well. But I had a bit of a selfie moment that I was in the shop looking at all these travel kits and the little pots and all the little pans, and I thought, no, this is a 21st century travel colour book, because you don't even need the pans and you just need a few sheets. So that's my idea for next week. And I thought if we did that in the first bit of the show, it wouldn't get really boring. Does that sound about okay? Oops. Does that sound a good idea? Because I thought what we'd do is, if we did that it'd take about an hour to do one section, and then that means I'll have to get the paintbrushes out. I haven't had the paints out. My pencils have been out a long time. Sorry, puppy alert. It's going out of time now. And the little boy is annoying everybody as usual. Bear with me 2 seconds. I've got a question and I haven't got the thing up. What does that say? Oh, thanks, Terry. Thanks, everybody. Do I have to give us any? Oh, oh well, I do feel that. Thank you. That's brilliant. But I do feel that because people do giveaways, and I kept thinking I couldn't possibly do um, things and postage and things, but actually that postage wouldn't be much. And of course, it's not a liquid, so it could go anywhere. There won't be a problem, I don't think. They'll just think it's a letter or a chunky letter. That was my idea. So hopefully that might work. But I thought that would be lovely because then people can actually start playing with these that probably haven't got the pencils. I'm a bit obsessed about my little book, I have to say. Bit obsessed. Have you is it Little P that was making one? Don't think she's here yet, is she? Somebody that book is a doodle hero. A doodle hero. Oops. I keep trying to upset everything. So that was my idea. And then you might think, oh, I've got some of those pencils. And you get a bit obsessed. You walk around your stash and you're scribbling on things and trying to make them into watercolors. Because I have a thing, you know, if it will go on a piece of paper and it's a water based, it's in there. I'm getting a bit obsessed, I have to say. And I have all these. There is one drop of these, and these are the Hydrus. I'm going to try and get a hold of some Ecoline as well. But these are the Hydrus. And I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I've got 16. Still trying to get the pale blue. Can't get the cerulean blue. Otherwise, I wouldn't buy all the colours, I have to say. But I did buy a set in a fit of lunacy before I went back to my colour mixing. But there's a yellow ochre, there's a lemon yellow, and there's a warm yellow. There's a few browns because I'm obsessed by brown. And then there's the Elysian. The vibrant card red, that's the one I spilt. I could get another one of those. But they're basically your two colours. Oops, I'm not in frame, am I? Oh, hi, Galina. Thank you. Oh, thank you, darling. Yes, well, I do try. I've never been able to grow my nails at all for years until I've been ill and I can't do anything, and they've suddenly grown. So and it's lasted a long time. I think my daughter got it. It's a number 7. And it's, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what it's called. Or is it called Pillar Box? Do you think that's called Pillar Box? But I just saw it and thought, sometimes, especially when you're doing ink and things, it looks like you've got dirty fingernails, but you haven't. So these are in my little book as well. And so, you know, if you have the 100, I think there's 100 in this section. If you have 100 of these, you know, who wants to carry these around with you? And they last. They do about 6 pages. I did the bunny. Bunny. Where's the bunny? Keep getting things out and forgetting where I put them. I did 2 bunnies and 2. I don't think it's in focus, is that? That's the Hydrus, and they were from. And it looks awful, but there's tons of colour. Anybody's got these or the Ecoline. But these are professional, so they're light fast. This is what it's between 2 pieces of plastic, and it looks horrid, but there's tons of colour on there. And I put 1 drop on, left it overnight to dry, and then when I've activated it, it's wet, but because it's opposite, as long as I don't mix those colours too much, I can keep the colours. But that's instead of 20 bottles. So I quite like those, and they are really vibrant, I have to say. I did 2 Tiggers and 2 Thumpers with those colours, and they are, again, a bit of a tight Yorkshire lass. I do like the good pigments because it lends itself to not wasting things. So that was my idea, is to work through that little book and see what we can do. I don't know why that's jumping. So if anybody's got any questions, what I was going to do again is just kind of go back into here and keep picking things off, and eventually it will be finished. These are lovely to work in. They just do take that little bit of time. It's definitely not a rush job, I have to say. It's definitely not throwing colour down. But I think these new books, it's nicer. This is a hobby. This isn't a quick slap down, I want to get every page covered in a week. This is open a page, look at it, decide what colours to do, and then just enjoy colouring in. Enjoy it. It's like a big box of chocolates. I kind of think, oh, where do I want to be next? So that's how I think of it anyway. Does that make sense? So thanks for stopping in, everybody, for listening to me droning on. And just trying to see if I can get that into focus that a little bit better. So that was my idea for next week. And then I wanted to do the watercolour things and the acrylics and the oils. The other thing I've done, which hasn't worked, but I'm sure it's because I did it on the phone and not... You can take a painting and you can grayscale it. But I think you can also do an outline one. I'm sure there's an app where you can outline things. So this is an old photograph that I painted a few years ago, and I hadn't painted since. And I thought I would photocopy it, and then it would be a grayscale. But there's a lot of detail on it, but you can't really see it very well. So that was my other idea. So I'm going to try and put some of those on my website, but I'm not really... I used to think I was intelligent, but since I finished work years ago, computers kind of don't do what I want them to do when I want them to do it, the instant I want them to do it. So I kind of... I'm just worried that that's jumping a little bit. See if I can just pop that on there. I think the nail varnish also helps with the focus as well. For some reason it quite likes. The screen keeps jumping up and down and it's driving me insane. But no. So if you've got any questions, pop them in caps. I'm just going to carry on. I've just seen a little bit more that I want to do. But I think underneath here, this dark, I'm going to have a really rich green. And then the bunnies, I think, will pop out then. Pretty sure the bunnies will pop out. So thanks for stopping in, everybody. It was a bit of an impromptu kind of... But I wanted to get this finished. But I also wanted to sort out what I was going to do for the next few weeks. Excuse my stomach. It decides it wants to rumble. I can't blame the dog. Normally it's the dog. Under there looks quite nice. I might just put that a little bit. Got to be a bit careful though, because having just activated it, it's quite wet now, so I've got to be a little bit careful, because I still want to keep this fairly dry. Oh, that's what I was going to do, that one there. That looks like it's kind of just behind, and I can morph that into there. That would be quite good. So some of the things I quite like, and I'm going to work right through this with watercolour. It might be watercolour out of my little book. No, I tell a lie, it won't be. This is going to be watercolours, professional watercolour mixing. So I'm going to start with the 6 colours. I'll always start with the 6 colours, all the colours I've chosen to use. And that's what I wanted to do. And then the Kerby the Colin Thompson, I'm going to use my little book. The Harry Potters, I was going to have a go with the... I was going to try with the Harry Potters to photocopy them and then to homemade gesso and play with these Bear with me 2 seconds. Just not sure what that is. These, I've got to be a little bit careful because the oils. These artisan water mixable oils. So while I was yesterday, I managed to get to an art shop yesterday, and I bought this thinner because it's not oil and it's not water, and it's just that little bit better. I don't normally, it was a bit expensive for me, but I was having a moment. I was out on my own with my trolley. I couldn't believe it. I was away. Went on the train for half an hour to Darlington, and I got a bus right outside, bless him, and then right out. So I did so well. I had a lot of painkillers, but I had to keep sitting down in the shop, and I just looked like a lunatic. There's this woman sitting in a shop, and people kept asking me questions because I thought I was a shop assistant. I was just sitting in my little chair. Oh, complete lunatic, honestly. Can't believe I didn't get arrested. Honestly, it was just so funny. But it was because it was easy. I could just. My husband dropped me off at the station, and I walked across, and then could not believe I walked out the station at Darlington and got a bus that dropped me almost outside the shop I wanted to be, the art shop. I tell a lie, I went into Boots actually, and I met another disabled lady talking about my trolley for an hour. Oh, it was fab. Oh, hi Suzanne, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Having a bit of a waffle. I can't believe I was out on my own. It was fab. But then I had to sit down for a long time because I kind of got in a bit of a state. Because I can normally walk for about a minute and then that's it. And I got off the train station and thought, it's sunny. Oh wow, it's sunny. I'm out, fab. And my ankle collapsed. And I just literally got there and I thought, what am I going to do? But if I sit for a couple of hours, it comes back. So it's quite funny. It's quite funny. But I must have upset Darlington yesterday. But I managed to get to the art shop. But I met 3 disabled people. We're all nattering about my magic little trolley wheelie thing that I have. But I couldn't have gone shopping without it. And I couldn't have lifted my handbag either. So we did well. So then I managed to get to the art shop in Darlington, which was really fascinating. And I wanted to, I virtually toured it, sad girl, about 3 days before. And I only went into the one section. I could not get into any other sections. I had to come away and sit down. So never mind. That's another trip. But it was so nice to be actually out with the living. It was brilliant. Normally I only go out when I go to hospital. So I quite like this brown. I've been playing about in the corner there. So there's reds and gungy colours. And this is another thing I like doing. There's all that colour and that's not going to be wasted. And you can play with it and manipulate it. And yet all the colours are still going to have some continuity because they've all come from the same pigment. And I've forgotten what I was going to use it for now. But it's a purpley brown, is that? I might just have a bit of a play with these. I don't know if bulrushes are purpley browns, but I just kind of give those another bit of definition here. I can get that away from that bunny colour. And by still playing with the same colour. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you make a mess of it. But sometimes you can just get that bit of a highlight going. And it's not very purpley, but I would think that's behind the bunny. I would think that's rather dark. And got to be a bit careful though, that's the only thing. Oops, am I still in frame? How long have I been going? Let me have a look. It's probably time to stop, is it? Oh yes it is, it's time to stop. I'll just cover this little piece in. I'll just do the bulrushes and then I'm going to finish. Because I'm not sure if anybody else is going to pop up because I don't normally do Fridays. Bear with me 2 seconds. I do quite like that little highlight that I've done there. And that's kind of just kept that away from that bunny. So that's what I'm going to be doing now, is just kind of making things stand out and putting some shadow in things so that there's a difference, and those bunnies are going to pop out. So thanks for joining me, and I'll pull this up a little bit there. So it's coming along, but I think a few really dark, deep shadows and some nice undergrowth, and those bunnies are going to pop out, and then that'll look a lot better. Because I think the bunnies are kind of fighting with the toadstools at the moment. So I'll stop this because it's been going. I've been waffling a bit, and I'll stop that, and then I'll redo. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed this almost last recording of the